Welcome back to Skimmer Says. We're your hosts. I'm Akshay.
I'm Sadie.
And with us today, we have our very own guest from Delaware Coastal Programs, Jen Holmes.
Hello.
Jen, tell us about yourself.
Thank you. Yes, I'm glad to be here today. I love being here at the Reserve. My name is Jennifer Holmes, and I am the Coastal Regulatory Programs Manager for Delaware Coastal Programs, which the Reserve is part of our Coastal Program section.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've heard a lot of stories about you being with DNERR, though. You weren't always up at State Street. You were a little bit here, too.
That is correct. I spent 10 years at the Reserve, 8 of those as the education coordinator, and 2 of those as the coastal training program coordinator.
So you were the previous Laurel.
I was, yeah.
One of the previous Laurels.
Yeah,
it's a little,
years ago.
it's a little funny that Laurel isn't here. It's like we've never seen the two of them in the same room together.
Do they exist at the same time?
Do they?
Gosh. Anyway, before we get into all the history of DNERR, let's go over something really important. July is our birthday month.
Yay!
Woo!
Happy birthday, us.
Happy birthday to DNERR. Our birthday is on July 21st, so make sure to wish us a happy birthday on social media, because we would love to see that. But this year we will be 32 years old.
Wow.
Ooh,
And
that's not that old.
That's not old at
Yeah,
all.
that's a good number.
DNERR is still kicking it.
Middle
Yeah.
age.
Yeah, that's a
Youngest.
Yeah.
good number.
So, before we go into the year, I'm going to ask you in a game time. Are you ready?
Oh, no.
A game time. We're
I
going to
will
do...
try.
You're going to guess the year that this event happened.
Okay.
Right. So this one should be easy if you know how to do math and if you remember our birthday. What year was DNERR designated?
I do recall. 1993.
Yes, correct.
Ooh.
Happy birthday to anyone born in 1993. Okay. In what year was the system-wide monitoring program began?
Great question. I wasn't here when it started. I'm going to say, so it's a stretch of my brain, I think there is data dating back to, I'm going to say the 90s. I'm going to say 99.
So close. It was 95.
Ah!
Ooh,
So
very close.
we were quick on it. We were 2 years
Yeah.
after we were
awesome.
first created.
Great
Opposite
data.
project.
Yes.
That still exists and
Yep.
can be
Yeah,
accessed
still
today.
used,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep. Okay. What year was the first sediment elevation table installed?
Ooh.
I'm thinking 2000s again before I started. It was either in 04 or 05. I'm going to say 05, 2005.
Jen, it was 04.
No.
I'll give
always
you
go
it
with the first.
anyway.
So close.
I'm gonna let you pass that one
Yeah,
because you did
we'll
say
give
it.
it to you.
Okay, when was the first Blackbird Creek Fall Festival held?
I know this one.
Yeah.
2007.
Yes, because you
We
started
started
it.
it back in 07 when I was at PEC. Yep.
How
wow.
fun is that? And then this is your last one. In what year was the secretive marsh bird surveys established?
I don't know if we're allowed to say because it's secretive.
Secret.
However, I would say for us who are allowed to know, wink, wink, I'm thinking 2012.
Correct. Maybe. We'll never know.
Or
That's a secret,
maybe
so
not.
Maybe not.
who's to say it was really in 2012?
Yeah. Well, now that we know that DNERR was designated in 1993, let's talk about some of the things that happened 32 years ago.
Wow, good times.
32.
Early 90s.
Yeah. Well, it predates us.
Yes.
However, it doesn't really predate the internet because
No.
in 1993 was the beginning of the World Wide Web when it was accessible to the public. So 32 years ago, the same age as DNERR now,
Mhm.
that's when the World Wide Web was available. So I feel like that's pretty cool.
That is
You know,
pretty
we share our
awesome.
birthday with something
Yeah.
we use a lot.
And something even older than 32 years old, the Jurassic Park movie was premiered.
What?
Yeah. The movie itself is 32, but not the dinosaurs in
Yeah, the
it.
dinosaurs.
Because they're real. The dinosaurs in that
Yeah.
movie are
That
real.
movie are
Mhm.
real.
Yep.
Yeah, totally.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Very
how
old.
Else, how else do they get them in the movie?
And then one that we've heard a lot about from the other people in this building was there was a really bad snowstorm in 1993.
Yeah. I wasn't actually in Delaware at that time. But
You were lucky
Yeah.
because we heard that it covered everything.
Yes.
People were iced in.
The great ice storm of 93.
definitely different than what we've been experiencing
Yes.
recently.
Nope. Oh, yeah. That's
Very warm.
a big change. But
Well, now that we've gone over some things from then, some things that have happened recently in the past, we're going to go all the way back. And we're going to talk about the St. Jones and the Blackbird Creek before they were reserves. So, I've
That's
heard...
a long time ago. I'm going to have to...
Yeah.
I don't know that I was in existence.
You're telling me you're not a time traveler, Jen?
Maybe.
Okay, well, I've heard that the St. Jones River, it's always been a marsh. You know, we know that it's a marsh, but I heard that there were some interesting animals out there that typically aren't on the marsh. Do you know anything about that?
So, I believe, so the river itself has extensive salt marsh on either side, yes. And it's my understanding that a really long time ago, even maybe dating back to the time frame of 1700s, that they actually grazed cattle in the marshes, at least in the higher or upper parts of the marsh, because there was salt meadow hay. We still have that today, Spartina haytens.
Yeah.
Maybe some people call it Parabola.
I just call it Spartina.
And it's salt meadow hay, and it's often, or was often, I think, used for food for cattle, and so they could graze out in the marsh. We don't typically see that happening anymore because we don't always like to have cattle in the marsh.
Not usually.
Entering, other pollutants in there that would not normally be found.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine the smell with the, the sulfury mud combined with a sulfury cow, you know?
It would be a great combination for our visitors.
Yeah. So maybe that's a good thing that we don't have them in there anymore.
If you think of it from that standpoint, it was, already existing, so sustainable in terms of the food.
Right.
Or at least maybe some of that thought process is already there and maybe less expensive on those who were raising the cattle.
And the St. Jones River itself was also really important to us because we were doing a lot of transportation, a lot of shipbuilding.
Yes, the St. Jones River itself is just a fascinating river, just like every river system has very similar stories, some uniqueness, but some similar stories, as the river was the main transportation prior to vehicles, right? So, although there were horses and wagons and things like that, but the river was a huge transportation system. So it said that there were a lot of produce being grown in the area along the St. Jones, and that produce and those products were loaded onto large ships. And then, of course, ships traverse the St. Jones River and into the Delaware Bay and up into the ports of Wilmington and Philadelphia for trade and selling.
Yeah.
That's very interesting.
Seems like the river was a very good economic resource for all sorts of the early civilizations.
Always is, right? Being next to waterways tends to be economic drivers. And then, of course, it was difficult to maneuver around the river. Anybody who's been on the St. Jones or has seen historical photos of it, there were like 16 meanders, so this, snaking patterns throughout the landscape, and some of the larger ships had a really hard time maneuvering that. So it was dredged up into the early 1900s, and to help with that transportation a little bit easier. Unfortunately, though, some of those meanders did get cut through, and you can still see remnants of them in aerial photographs.
Right.
Yeah, and it caused a lot of kind of sloping in those rivers now. So we have boat trips, and we go out there, and we're like, imagine this river being a lot wider. Because now, since they dredged it, it's a lot skinnier. But it is interesting to imagine like such big ships coming through, because it is.
It is such a small river. I don't want to say small river. It's but smaller than it was.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so it silted in quite a bit. So once the dredging stopped, that siltation happens, and you also see siltation in those meanders that became marsh. And so the actual area to maneuver is not the same as it used to be. At least that's my understanding.
Yeah. So, I mean, we just talked a little bit about how the St. Jones has changed, and obviously a lot's going to change in 300 something years, but how has the reserve changed? Like the facility that we have here, what has been like the major changes, I guess, since you started and to now that you've seen the building go through?
And that's a great question. Some of the changes occurred before I ever arrived at the reserve, but have had really good friends and coworkers that I've worked with who were here at that time. It was a huge effort to get the reserve started. It's not an easy undertaking, and it was a lot of different folks within the Department of Natural Resources and Environmental Control, and also outside, other departments as well, to help get the reserve started. So to pay respect to those people who put in all that time and effort to bring a reserve, we say thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
It's such a great place. And so it started off, from my understanding, as just having, access, a little bit of water access at the time. I believe the boardwalk was built around 99. I'm not 100% sure on that, but in that late 90s time period. And this building as well, around that time period. So the building from the dormitories and to the offices, including the exhibit area.
Right.
And then the barn, what we call the barn, which is our conference, kind of like a conference center or meeting space, was built in the early 2000s. And then, of course, on that, we have our solar panels and all the cool stuff that comes with that. Later on, I think in like 09 into 2010 era, we had some of the rain garden work come in. So the rain garden that's sitting in front, which is really cool because it takes the runoff from the roof of the dormitory office complex and is actually funneled underneath of the sidewalk and into the rain garden.
Yep.
Yeah, so to help with that additional runoff from the buildings. And so there's been a lot of changes over time, and we continue to see those, which is awesome. In fact, there used to be a porch. We do have like there was a screened-in porch. There is a porch that was added on, and those where the picnic tables are out behind the offices are actually on pervious pavers, which is pretty cool because those help, of course, absorb stormwater runoff. And then the screened-in porch was turned into a kitchen that we use to this day. As we had more and more interns and research staff that were staying here at the facilities and expanding those pieces a little bit.
Yeah, I remember hearing that our kitchen used to be in the now laundry room, and it's tough to imagine fitting. Well, I'm not sure how much appliances we had in the previous kitchen. Yeah, I can't imagine all that much, but it's tough to imagine staff trying to fit in there and get their lunch together, or make a meal before they go back out in the field, and I imagine it was quite difficult.
And let alone people who were actually staying here for the summer or something like that, doing research. It was difficult. So great. Glad to see all these changes.
Oh, yeah. Sad we lost the screen-in porch.
Yes, we've been trying to convince Laurel to build the screened-in porch herself.
Because of our favorite greenhead flies visit
our best friends
in the summertime.
Yes. So the green-in porch has been on our calendar for months now.
Yeah.
I love
keep extending the due date for whatever reason.
One of these days.
Well, moving on, let's talk a bit about the Blackbird Creek Reserve, because before it was a reserve, it was a KOA campground, and there's still some signs of that. So do you want to tell us a little about that?
Sure, yeah. So there's various pieces or parcels of Blackbird Creek like there are in the St. Jones, and one of those parcels, we often used to refer to it as the campground site because it used to be a KOA campground. And it was my understanding that when we acquired it, that parcel was actually subdivided and could have been sold off for additional development and things like that. The state acquired that parcel, and it used to have a swimming pool on it. You could still
Right.
see remnants of
Yeah.
where the RVs would pull in, and some speed bumps here and there. So yeah, there's still evidence of it, but not as much anymore. You can't see it as easily. And then there was I think a couple of buildings, but the one large one at the front where the office is and and I think might have been a store or something like that up at the front that were taken down. And now there's a parking lot there.
Yeah, I think the swimming pool has turned into like our pollinator garden, right? So it's nice how we can recycle those things and turn them into something that's, part of our mission today. Like it's really cool how we can do that.
I think it's awesome, and try not to envision a swimming pool just with a pollinator garden.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's changed a lot.
Yes.
And filled in so that it is now ground that now a pollinator garden inhabits. And so it's really cool because we see all types of pollinators in there, from bees and butterflies and birds.
Yeah, that's my favorite tidbit to share with people that come on our hikes.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, imagine this being a pool. You can't do it because it's so crazy how we can do things like that, where we can take out a whole pool and just replace it with something so natural.
Yeah.
So that is option. That is an option for people who are looking to do something if they don't want the pool in their backyard.
Yeah. Make a pollinator garden.
Turning it into something else.
Yeah. Then pollinator gardens, they give back to the environment. So, and you get visited by butterflies. Who wouldn't want that?
That's right.
Okay. Well, we're coming towards the end of our episode, but we had to ask our coastal chat if they had any questions for you and about the DNERR.
Okay.
Because they're very dedicated to this podcast. So our first one is, what type of birthday cake would the reserve have on their birthday?
That is a great question. And I think it would be a yellow cake with little green sprinkles in it for green eggs and sand.
There you go.
That's good. I like that.
So, for those of you who may or may not know, we help to coordinate horseshoe crab spawning surveys at 3 beaches here in the Kent County, Delaware area. And that's been a part of of some of the work that we've done for years. And so I'd say that, and then maybe some I would say blue icing, but our water isn't blue.
It's not.
I think it has chocolate icing.
I think chocolate would be much more.
If you mixed a dark blue and a chocolate, then maybe you would get the right combination.
But I think that's okay because our river system does move sediments, and that's a natural thing. Sometimes it can, humans can impact that, of course, but in general, there is sediment moving, and so you're going to have those suspended solids sometimes.
All the time. Oh, yeah.
Why not? And then I would add maybe some, I don't know, green Twizzlers or something like
Twizzlers
that.
with trees?
Yeah.
Maybe broccoli.
On the side.
I put broccoli.
Broccoli.
Yeah,
or
broccoli on a chocolate cake. Who wouldn't want that?
Or little shorebird candles. That's what I'm picturing. Is a tiny little shorebird on top.
I love it. Yes, absolutely. Do that.
Yeah. I'd love to try this cake.
Yeah. We should have a cake.
Who can bake the most DNERR-like cake?
I think we should. Totally.
I put broccoli
I hope somebody builds the boardwalk out of cake.
What? Out of cake?
Yes.
I feel like you need fondant.
Okay, that's
got to be very creative.
That can work.
It can happen.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ooh, Kit Kats. I would use Kit Kats for the boardwalk. That's what I would do.
It's totally cute.
Okay. This one was, what are the benefits of preserving natural lands?
Wow.
That's a shift.
Yes. We have to throw it in there.
There are a lot of benefits to preserving natural lands. I think that, the more that we're connected to our natural environment, we were meant to do that. I think that the more that we are electronic based, I'm not saying electronics are bad. I think they're great. I have electronics, love them. But I think that we need to know where our food comes from, how food is grown, how we interact with the environment, and how important it is. We're not the only users
Right.
of the environment, right? So we have other users such as our birds and our foxes and deer and all the things that also need those resources to continue to thrive.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that we thrive all together when we do have some preservation and are connected to those natural lands.
Yeah. Okay, and this will be your last question of the episode.
You're free. Almost.
What is your favorite memory with DNERR?
I have so many favorite memories. I really, really do.
Mm-hmm.
I have been grateful for the opportunities that I've had here. And it's always about the people. It really is. And about the resources. I mean, I love the smells of the marsh, and everybody's like, how can you love the smell of the marsh? It's because it's natural.
Yeah.
Some people have said, what is the smell? It's like, it's supposed to be there. It's functioning. It's fine. I love trees. Anybody knows me knows that I love trees. But I do love the interaction with people. I love my role here. I love helping to help people discover more about the estuary. But I've also learned so much from those that have partaken in our activities or asked for different things. I loved our coastal heritage driving tours. I love working with the staff here. Like, we have a really great staff who care a lot. I think that, I've seen that throughout the years, through all the staff who have come and gone out of the reserve. And it's really special to be part of this particular place. And I do love it. I do love every part of it. I don't know that so many memories. And so many great people that I've worked with in the past, and I dearly miss. Yeah.
Well, maybe one of your favorites can be filming this podcast with us.
I think that could be one of the top ones. Maybe one of the new ones.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, I think that's all that Skimmer has to say for this episode.
Make sure you wish us a happy birthday on July 21st. And we'll see you next time on Skimmer Says.
Bye.
Bye.